talking now.
Hello and welcome to Boomer Bust NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We are live on YouTube tonight and I'm joined by my usual co-host Shug. We've got all the latest injury news, who you should be picking up from your waivers and all the usual goings on in the wonderful world of fantasy football. So make sure to get involved in the question section in the YouTube with all your comments and we'll answer them later in the show. Shug, it would be wrong of me to start anywhere else than Josh Jacobs.
Massive into the game. Huge. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And the crazy thing, like I said, the crazy world of fantasy football, the crazy thing about Josh Jacobs was that he was a surprise designation on the injury list and the injury report on Friday, where it looked like he may be out of the game with a calf injury. He goes on to score 48.3 points, which is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And the worst of it all was he was against me.
No, the feeling, those incredible points. As you said, you could be worrying about being injured, and then he turns in that sort of performance. Unbelievable. You get, seems to be one every week, you get puts on that superb display. So, first class. But unfortunately for you, being up against him.
I know. And too many of my players had an off week. He was unbelievable up against me. But that 88-yard run in overtime was just absolutely frightening, man. He's a player that's completely on form at the moment. I just don't know where I rank him in the sort of top running backs in the league. Am I being a wee bit unfair there?
No, I don't think you're being unfair. I think he's not a guy we've really spoke about during the year, but he seems to be obviously big week from there. Hitting a bit of form now. I think he's got the potential to be in that bracket. I think you wonder, am I correct in saying he could be going elsewhere next season? You don't really know. So he's surely got to get rewarded. He keeps these performances up.
He's a free agent at the end of the season. Yeah, his contract's up. So, like the free.
One way or another, he's going to get rewarded if he keeps up these level of performances. And yeah, I'd agree with you, he's probably not in that top tier, but probably just outside it. And one of those guys, every so often, he'll produce performances like that.
Yeah, absolutely. For him as well, see if you look up on Twitter, like the free agency for running backs this year, going into next season, my God, man, it is packed. You've got guys like Saquon Barkley and stuff in there. Like, guys are going to earn some serious money, but in terms of Jacobs, sometimes you just get these weeks where you can't do anything about it. You come up against them, and I had the running back on the other side of the field in Kenny Walker in this game, who done well for me, but not as good as Jacobs. But in terms of the quarterbacks in this game, Geno Smith and Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr might not be drafted in a lot of leagues, but when he's hitting guys like Devontae Adams regular, and Adams was outstanding again yesterday, does he become a viable pickup for you? And like things like even this week where you've got Kyler Murray's bye week.
I think Derek Carr will always be a good QB2, where you can have him on your roster and then put him in when needed, when your main quarterback's get a bye week or when just the matchup is looking good. So I would always put him in that category. He's never going to be, for me, one of your first choices, but
no,
he'll be solid enough. He'll get you points across the season.
Yeah, he's got wheels too.
That was poor.
We're off to a flyer. But now, like I said, Kenny Walker big in that game. Devontae Adams, mate. What about that catch? The one-handed catch he's falling in his arse.
One-handed catch. He keeps showing us now what we all said at the start of the season. What a big weapon that the Raiders were getting. He's elite level, and just that it just shows he's just a top wide receiver.
I think he's currently sitting at, I think it's wide receiver 4. Is it me, or has he just slid right under the radar because the Raiders have been so bad?
Yeah, I think we expected an instant impact from not only him, but we expected the Raiders to be so good at the start of the season. We expected him to just carry them a good bit. and it probably didn't materialise that way, but he's just been creeping up there with big performances. I think 85 points from the last 3 games, which shows you getting that level of consistency now. And yep, the Raiders are not a top side by any means. They can have some really bad weeks, but he's now proven you have to build your team around him, don't you?
No, absolutely. What a game! What a game that was.
Yep.
Ended up finishing 40-34 to the Raiders, and Josh Jacobs completely burned them. So we'll not dwell on it too long, but we'll move on to the next game in our list. And I want to talk about Zay Jones now. Tell me
Yep.
about him. You've got him in your team.
He's my boom. Again, somebody I picked up a good few weeks ago has been just a kind of a wee option for me to use now and again when my squad's not looking particularly deep. I've got a few buys. He's not on a lot of rosters across fantasy football. I've got him, put him in starting, 14 targets for 145 yards, game winning 2 point conversion. He's now had 24 targets last 2 games, so they are now trusting him. He is getting those opportunities now. And he's going nowhere in my team anyway. He's firm starter.
See, this is the thing I looked up before we started. He's available in over 70% of leagues. Now, that is ridiculous. And like you say, he's been steady for you. He's been a steady inclusion.
Yeah. Yeah. I picked him up and he's steady. He can guarantee you a good few points. But then he's come up with that at the weekend. Just didn't really expect it from him, to be honest with you. And he produced the goods. So he's my boom for the week.
Yeah, he's a definite pickup. I don't know if it's just like you feel like you should get more points in that Jacksonville offense when someone by the name of Jones catches a pass because of Marvin
Yeah.
Jones there, so it's not to be confused. But no, like, see, being honest, really honest, I wouldn't have started him if I were you. But that just shows
No.
you roll the dice sometimes. They targeted 14 times. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I've got quite a few in my team that there's not much between them. It's kind of toss a coin who you're going to start. As I said, I rely heavily on my main guys, so CMC and Tyreek Hill. There's other ones that you just kind of, it's a toss a coin between. Sometimes you get it. And that's the beauty of fantasy football. There's some guys you end up leaving on the bench and they get you 20, 30 points. Sometimes it's so unpredictable.
I know, but
I
hey,
might be wrong, but it seems as if this season is more than any. Like it's been like that.
I feel like the guys that would just be ultra consistent week in, week out, guaranteed you 20 points every week, just haven't really been there. Is that unfair?
Yeah. No,
But
not
nah,
at all. As I said, and you get frustrated with somebody, you take them out of the team, and the next week they produce 30 points. It's just the way it goes, unfortunately.
I know, I know. Do you know who else I thought was unbelievable on the Jacksonville side yesterday?
Who?
Ready for him?
Yep.
The mascot.
He was top
Did you?
class. See your boom for the week?
Yeah. Did you see him with the stars and stripes? Like it looked like a thong he had on. Oh man,
Tremendous.
unbelievable! Aye, tremendous. But in terms of looking at that game as well, Trevor Lawrence, does
Yep.
he now become a guy that is very startable over other quarterbacks? Because it has been like very hot and cold season for Trevor Lawrence owners in fantasy football this year.
Yeah, I would say so. I think with a lot of quarterbacks, it has been kind of hot and cold, but yeah, recently they've hard to come by. But Lawrence, I think, seems to be doing all right now. They've kind of found their rhythm now. He's got to be in there with contention to start for you.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And looking at our quarterback in the game, my quarterback, Lamar Jackson, first few weeks, unbelievable. I
Yeah,
don't know what's happened, but what I'm going to try and do is put my finger on it, right? See, when I'm watching, I'm clawing and scraping for points. I need everything I can get. And Lamar's just not been doing it, man. It's been so frustrating. And see, when you look at that offense, like, what is there to hit? There's like no
yeah,
weapons whatsoever. Like the Ravens, they're spoiling an unbelievable opportunity with one of the best quarterbacks in the league with a chance to go and do something, and they just don't. They just don't
yeah,
put the weapons round about them. They let Marquise Brown go out the back door in the off season, and they don't really replace him. Like start of the season, Devin Duvernay was good, and then tailed
yep,
off. Gus Edwards has been okay at running back. They've never really had a run game. Lamar Jackson doesn't seem to run the ball much anymore, and it's just so frustrating. And I'm not the only one that's frustrated. Did you see on Twitter the boy that said, so he's basically alluding to Lamar Jackson's contract situation here, that he's not discussed a new contract because he's waiting out to the end of the season, and he's saying, when someone's asking for over 250 million guaranteed like Lamar Jackson, games like this should not come to Justin Tucker. Let Lamar walk and spend that money on a well-rounded team. Lamar Jackson replied to him, boy, shut the fuck up. You'll be counting too much on this app. Motherfucker never smelt a football field. Never did that shit, but eat a dick.
What a bite that guy's got on Twitter.
Unbelievable, man. He's trending now for all the wrong reasons, but that's my rant for the week. Lamar just, don't get me wrong, scored over 20 points this week, which is decent, but it's Lamar Jackson, man. You expect so much more. But looking away from that, right, let's look at another quarterback and a wide receiver here, Mike White at the Jets. Yeah. Now, this was a big story this week that Zach Wilson was getting dropped. Mike White was coming in, not Joe Flacco. Mike White was coming in.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, Shug. He's got to be, in terms of waiver wire pickups, if it's not Zay Jones, it's Mike White, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, it was a huge call. One that we maybe were a bit torn on last week, I think it's fair to say. But the Jets have decided they could have stuck with what they had, but they thought, we're on the verge of something, let's just go for it. And it's paid off the first week anyway. It could be huge, and you're absolutely right. Mike White, towards this stage of the season where you have to be a wee bit creative in terms of who you're going to pick up. If you picked up Mike White last week, if you saw this coming, then fair play to you. I think it could be a lot more difficult to get him this week. But if you saw this last week, if you saw the decision happening, you thought he's worth putting in, fair play to you.
Yeah, he rolled the dice, 24.8 points in it. Yep. It looks like he's lit a spark under Garrett Wilson again, who now, for me, if Mike White's playing, Garrett Wilson starts in my fantasy team.
Yeah, you handcuff them. I think it's, again, as I said, another big win for the Jets. You just wonder how far they can go now. Again, a team that we didn't really expect much from. It looked as if they were tailing off, but big one again, gets them straight back in the mix.
Yeah, in terms of Wilson, right, he's had 4 touchdowns for the season now. 2 Mike White, 2 Joe Flacco, none with Zach Wilson, which is frightening, considering their cousins.
Yeah. I mean, and as you said, though, we originally thought that they would go with Flacco, they'd put him back in it, and I think we all thought it's not going to be the answer. But it takes a lot of guts to go with that call, stick your faith in Mike White, and looks if, as I said, it's paid off initially anyway.
I know, and this is the thing as well. You look around the league. Justin Fields is out. We don't know how long for. Matthew Stafford possibly out for the season. Kyler Murray on a bye week. People are going to pick up Mike White. And there, for Roberto in the comments saying Mike White and Garrett Wilson to the moon. Of course, like I say, start Garrett Wilson if Mike White's playing. His numbers are unbelievable yesterday, and like I say, the targets he was seeing, I think he's seen 8 targets yesterday, which is good because he did tail off under Zach Wilson. So, yeah, for me, you'd be going and getting Garrett Wilson if he's available in your waivers this week. So I'm now seeing another comment. Everyone told me Josh Palmer over Garrett Wilson. Went with my gut. Garrett Wilson is here. Well done, brave choice. I would have went with Josh Palmer. Right, being honest, looking back, Captain Hindsight is a wonderful thing. I would have went with Josh Palmer, but worked out Garrett Wilson. But
I probably would have done the same. Knowing the sort of uncertainty at quarterback, I would have done the same. I would have probably went with Palmer. But Roberto's got it spot on there.
Yep. Good to see he's done well with that. But I'm going to move on to my boom for this week, Shug, right? Yeah. And this guy is off the charts. We have done nothing but talk about him this season. And yesterday, the Vikings defeated Thursday, the Vikings defeated the Patriots 33-26. And the man everyone was talking about, Justin Jefferson. He is lights out, just, for me, the best wide receiver in the league, right? 11 targets, 9 receptions from them for 139 yards and a touchdown, 29.3 fantasy points. See if you've drafted him in your fantasy football, you're laughing. You're
Yeah,
absolutely laughing because you're guaranteed at very least 20 points every single week. He's now on
yeah.
244.8 points for the season. Starts at wide receiver 2, I think he sits at just now. But for me, my honest opinion, there's nobody better than him in the league.
Hard to argue with that. So many weeks he's produced, so many weeks we've been talking about him. I like it because when he plays well, Kirk Cousins usually has a decent week and he's my quarterback. So
Yep.
no complaints from me on that boom.
Yeah, good man. I'll ask you this, right? So, say for example, it's the draft just now.
Yeah.
Stefan Diggs lands to you and Justin Jefferson lands to you. You can take one. Who are you taking?
It has to. I'd go Jefferson as well. I think it's hard to. Diggs is top class. Diggs is one of the top ones you're going to go for, but Jefferson for me, edge it. Jefferson's just been the name of these lips this season.
Mr. Jefferson. Nah, for me, first answer, I'd go Jefferson too. I think Diggs is now. There's more in their offense in terms of Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie,
Yeah.
whereas Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne, Jefferson just outplays him every time. Although Adam Thielen had a great game, a good game for Cousins. Did they score all right? I've not even got that in my notes there.
I think it was 22 points something, I think, off the top of my head, but it was decent anyway.
Yeah, so we always own up to our mistakes on here. My sit-em for Thursday, Adam Thielen, and he went and scored something like 21 points, right? For me, with
Like,
Thielen, he's a wee bit inconsistent. He can be outshadowed by Jefferson at times. Putting up points like that and Cousins is playing well. Is he still in the contention as being a starter, even a flex wide receiver?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I think you've got other options there. It's so focused that the Vikings are so focused on Jefferson. I mean, you spoke about what comparing a minute ago, Diggs and Jefferson. When the Bills put in a good performance to get a big win, it doesn't necessarily mean Diggs is putting up huge points, but every time the Vikings put up a big win, it's because Jefferson's been so key to that. So for
Yeah.
me, he takes a lot of the focus there.
I wonder what they would be like if he picked up an injury because they've not had that yet. Wait, in fact, he's had
Aye,
a toe injury, hasn't he? Last week he had a toe injury and he dipped slightly, but Justin Jefferson's standards, a dip's not
yeah,
usually that
exactly.
huge. I know, but a guy I just mentioned there, Isaiah McKenzie,
Yep,
once again, difficult one, right? The Bills defeat the Lions 28-25, which for me was a brilliant game on Thanksgiving.
yeah,
Um, Isaiah McKenzie, I've got Gabe Davis, I think's a better player.
hmm
Isaiah McKenzie get targeted 10 times, 6 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown, 22.3 points. Solid game, solid figures
yeah.
again. Can he be trusted to be started? This seems to be a theme this week with guys.
I mean, I don't think so. I don't think he's a guy you're going to rely on. It's came with the points, kind of pretty much near enough out of nowhere. I don't think most people would have started him this
No,
week, to be honest with you. And I think with so many options in the Bills, I don't think you're going to rush to throw him in there, to be honest.
no.
So for
It's
not for me. For me, it's a one-off. For me, I can't remember who it was we spoke about last week, but it's similar. You get every week somebody else comes up.
Yeah, it's almost like your Zay Jones sort of
Yeah,
situation. You've took a chance and you've thrown him in. You're taking a
yeah,
chance when you throw him in because you just don't know how he's going to be week to week. Now that is a
yeah,
seriously good week. I mean, for a
yeah.
guy that looks like he's third choice wide receiver there, 95.7 points is good.
Good going.
It's good.
Yeah,
That's solid figures. But that game was just outstanding. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a great game as well.
yeah.
But once again, looking at the Bills, they grind it out. Like, are they Super Bowl contenders? Are they going to win the Super Bowl? They're definitely contenders. Are they going to win the Super Bowl?
I still believe they will. Um, I just think, as you said, they've got that power to grind it out. They've got so many options, so much power. I think when it comes to playoffs, I think they'll just turn it on. I think during the season they've been sloppy at points. They've had some injuries to deal with. They've had some difficult games. but as we kind of spoke about last week, that could stand them in good stead when it comes to playoffs. I just think this team's got enough about them that they could catch fire when it comes to the playoffs and end up winning the thing. I think I've still got them as my favourites.
Yeah, I'm still going to stick with the Chiefs. Thing is, nobody's talking about teams like the Bengals or the Vikings, but now I'm still going to stick with the Chiefs. I'm still loving the Chiefs. Mate, even the Bucks are sitting top of their division just now. You never
Yeah,
know. This is a good
yeah.
thing about it.
You never know. There is teams with plenty about them that have had. Most teams have had big wins at some point in their season, and I think, as I said, I joked about that, but the Dolphins are contenders. I don't think they'll do
Yeah,
it, but
100%.
I think they'll be. I wouldn't write them off right now.
Yeah, hand on heart, I'd love to see them do it, man. Just something a
Yeah,
bit fresh and different and bring a bit of excitement back to Miami. But
absolutely.
nah, another guy who's probably going to be a bit popular on waiver wires, but be cautious with him, DeAndre Carter.
Yeah.
Um, Chargers defeat the Cardinals 25-24, another exciting game. But DeAndre Carter, I know we spoke earlier about Roberto in the comments saying that everyone told him to take Josh Palmer. Once
Mhm.
again, last week we said this is his breakout. He's going to be big. He's going to run alongside Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, but not completely outshined by DeAndre Carter. He's seen 10 targets, 7 receptions for 73 yards, 20.3 fantasy points. Is he somebody you would consider picking up, or is that a case of you'd pick him up and he'd sit on your bench and you'd play him if you had to?
I would consider what my squad looks like. I would probably pick him up. I think is Williams still out?
Williams is still out with
Williams is
that high
out, isn't
ankle
he?
sprain, yeah.
While he's out, he's a good option for you in there. I think he's not by any means going to tear up any trees, but I think he's a decent option while Mike Williams is out. You know he's going to get targets. You know he's going to get action. I don't think he's a bad shout.
Nah, so give me this one, right? So if you were offered him or Josh Palmer, who are you taking now?
I'd go Palmer personally.
Yeah, personally, I'm good Palmer as well, but you've got Mike Williams. For me, you're probably handcuffing one of these guys, but then again, does it even become a safe bet? I just don't know. I just do not know. And it's the
Yeah,
Chargers. They've been so up and down this season as well, like
yeah,
ridiculously. But yeah, with regards to that game, we just don't know what the status is going to be with Mike Williams. So there's no point in taking a chance on him.
yeah.
Looking around the league at the other games, let's see where we lie. Man, I hate to say this, but my bust for this week, Debo Samuel. It was the most frustrating thing to watch. I traded for him this week. For anyone that watched Thursday's show, I managed to get Debo Samuel and Cortland Sutton for Chris Olave and Eli Mitchell.
Mhm.
Debo Samuel, without it coming out, he had an injury designation coming into the weekend. It turned out that he was going to play, but here's my bust for this week. Only ended up getting 7 targets, 3 receptions, and 43 yards, and that's not Debo Samuel figures. He's been dealing
Yeah,
with a hamstring injury, like we know, but I expected at least a bit more. And a lot of the times I was looking around the field to see where he was, and I was tearing my hair out, man. You just want so much more from the guy, but there was a lot happened in this game. But was there anyone in this game who really let you down?
my main man,
Yeah,
CMC. I rely on him constantly. As I said, him and the cheetah, I need them to put up big points for me every week, and CMC just didn't. He just didn't deliver this week. Again, usually so reliable, just wasn't their week, to be honest. Not a high scoring game. Just didn't produce anything near what you can used to seeing. 8.9 points is really bad for McCaffrey.
yeah.
Consider the numbers you're expecting.
Just seems like there's mouths to feed in that offense, and if anyone's carrying an injury, then they're not taking a chance on them because they've got so
Yeah,
many weapons. So both their busts came in that game. But we'll move on to the injury news like after the break in the show. But I think that pretty much clears everything up that's fancy relevant. If you've got anything to add to it in the comments or any questions, then fire away and fire them in. But we're going to keep it short this week for anyone noticing that my background's a wee bit different. I'm actually in a hotel room, so I'm working away at the moment. But before we go to a break, Shug, oh, wait there. Shug's had a haircut for his commissioner campaign. What have you got to say to that?
Well
This is for
noticed, Toasty.
anyone listening and not watching.
Well noticed. Get a wee trim last week. Well needed. Take a few years off to stress. But yep, I'll be running for commissioner due to some issues this season.
Now, let's see. We've also got another comment from producer David saying the Vikings go all the way. Do you think we're being a wee bit harsh on them, or do you think they can go all the way to the dance?
I just think they're too inconsistent. I think they'll come up against somebody in the playoffs that they'll struggle with. I don't see them going all the way, to be honest with you. I think flashes
Yeah.
on their day they can beat anybody, especially obviously Justin Jefferson is their main man, but I don't see it, to be honest.
I just feel like they're an injury away to a crucial player for sort of dipping. But
Yeah,
stranger things have happened.
yeah, absolutely.
Credit where it's due. They've been excellent. They've been consistent. But before we go to the break, right, the 6 o'clock games yesterday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Shug, can you name any of the first 4 touchdown scorers of the 6 p.m. games? Keep it to yourself just now, and
Right,
I'll see how
okay.
many you can get following the break. All right?
Okay.
And I don't think you will. So, anyway, we'll move on and thank you to our sponsors, G4 Claims, Not at Fault Claim, Made Easy. Also, a big thank you to our other sponsor, who is Manscaped. Manscaped, it's never too early to play holiday music, and it's never too early to start thinking about gifts. Whether it's for a friend or the friends in your pants, you can make this season to be jolly with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favour and use a Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. Then add in Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products to have the people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his sack, and so should you. Look nice when you get naughty by going to manscaped.com and use code BoomerBus20 for free shipping and 20% off. Now, Shug, I know we were talking about the other night about using the Lawnmower 4.0. It's a great tool, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, we're
Very
saying
much
it's,
enjoyed the product.
yes, and it's waterproof, so you can take it in the shower. There's no mess, or there's no nicks or cuts or in the places you don't want. Like, I can vouch for it. It is a very good product and a very, very good stocking filler. So make sure you go to manscaped.com and check that out. So you'll get 20% off and free shipping with the code BoomerBus20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Make sure to use the code BoomerBus20. Manscaped, get your jingle balls ready for the holidays.
Great shout if you get somebody in the Secret Santa and you think, he looks hairy.
Yeah,
Let's sort him
that's
out.
it.
He's a good shout.
Yeah, not only will you sort them out, we've sorted you out for 20% off and free shipping. So don't worry, we've got that side of things covered. Just make sure you use our wee code. All right. So we'll move on, Shug, to the next bit, the injury news. Right. Oh, in fact, sorry. The answer to the question, can you name any of the first 4 touchdown scorers at the 6 p.m. games yesterday? At least give me one.
I'm honestly lost in this. I can't even remember early kickoffs from late kickoffs, but I'm going to go Perrine.
Wrong.
Other one I've went with is Lawrence.
Nope. Let's see if anyone gets it in the comments.
You know, I thought Toasty would be all over this question, but he's too busy talking about spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets. He's a guy that could be doing with the Manscaped. Toasty, Boomer Bus 20 will get you 20% off and free shipping. Right, Shug, come on, give me.
Dolphins got an early Dolphins got an early touchdown yesterday.
Yes, but who was it?
It was somebody. It wasn't a regular. It wasn't a common one.
You're
Wasn't
going
it
down the right
Wilson?
road, yeah. Right.
Who got the first touchdown
I'll read
yesterday?
them. I'll read them one by one. Right. Was it maybe
Right.
Anthony Schwartz
Schwarzkopf?
or Durham Smythe?
Smythe, that's who I was thinking of.
A guy you
Smythe,
know,
that's it.
Byron Pringle. He popped yesterday. And McCall Pruitt. There you go. That is fantasy football hell, right?
I was totally guessing that one. Like I
know.
that way nobody came into my head. I could think on red zone scored an early touchdown.
Yeah, fantasy football for me and NFL, I love it. I think I know a good bit about it. Anthony Schwartz, Durham Smythe, Byron Pringle, McCall Pruitt. I think you're the only guy I ever known that had Byron Pringle on his team, and that's how I know.
Did I?
I think you had him last year.
I cannot remember.
If it makes you feel any better, I had to do some serious Googling to find out who those guys were before the show. I was like,
no
who?
idea.
Yeah, we've got a question. We've got a question here asking: is Byron Pringle Gary's cousin? Big shout out to Gary, and like he's just went 0-12. Oh,
0-12, man.
Do you know something? I was thinking about this. There should be a prize in your fantasy leagues for the guys that like that go 0-12 and still continue to set their lineup, take part in waivers, trade with other guys. Hats off to them.
Aye, fair play. Thanks for coming.
And see you later. Talking about fantasy football here, right? I just thought of it here, right? You watching that Titans drive where Derek Henry went for 75 yards. He's about to go into the end zone and the ball gets knocked out his hands and Traylon Burks just comes up, scoops it and puts it in, right? Imagine for a second you've got Derek Henry and it's right on the wire. You're going in, your opponent's got Traylon Burks. Oh my days, man. I'd be throwing my phone through the TV.
Oh, right. That's why when you see him moving, you're off your seat and then that happens.
You're thinking, this is 7.5. You're talking 12 and a half, 13 points right away.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, it swings back in the other direction. So that's fantasy football for you at the end of the day. But let's look at the injury news, right? Travis Etienne left the game with a foot injury yesterday. This is a bad one. Only scoring 0.3 points. He said he's all right, but if you're leaving the game in the first half and not coming back in, I'm not quite buying that he's all right. What do you think of this? Who are you picking up? Are we looking at Darrell Henderson now to be picking up as the backup for Etienne?
Yeah, it probably would be. Darrell Henderson would be a next shout. Personally, I think he'll be all right. I think it seems as if it is a precaution. I know what you mean. It can't be nothing. It can't be no reason why they've took him off. But I think you'd be monitoring it. Probably Darrell Henderson you'd be looking at. But I think Travis Etienne will be fine. I think he'll come back in. The noises they're making is that it'll be all right.
Yeah. And in terms of having a sort of security blanket, you go and you get Darrell Henderson if he's out there anyway, just in the off chance that he appears in that injury report late on that he's not going to make it. At least you've got a guy that's going to get in there that's going to see the lion's share of snaps. But it's a blow for Etienne because he's had a great season, 139 fantasy points so far. And bear in mind, he didn't have a good start to the season.
Yeah, again, he was one we spoke about in pre-season. We'd said this is going to be one of the top guys, and then we both kind of would go back on that because the early season form didn't look like he was going to live up to it at all, did it? And then recently, it just seems as if we've been talking about him a lot. He seems to have came to the forefront of everybody's thoughts in fantasy, doing really well, putting up the points, and it's a blow for him. But as I said, I don't think it'll be serious. I think he will be all right, but you're right, you would probably pick up Henderson just in case.
Yeah, and another huge blow to a running back, and would probably go in your favour considering you're a Chris McCaffrey owner, is that Eli Mitchell left the game with an MCL sprain. Now, this is the same injury which he missed 8-9 weeks of this season from. He's now done it again, so this doesn't look good for him. I'm going to say this isn't fact, but I think it's season over for him. Do you look to go and pick up somebody like, I'm trying to think, who played Jermichael Hasty, I think, plays behind Mitchell. For me, it's just very unlucky. He can't be trusted to be started now.
Yeah, I think it's more than likely be season ending. I think, as I said, I think it's just going to put even more emphasis on CMC, which is a good thing for me. Again, from their point of view, though, CMC hasn't exactly had an injury-free career, so it now puts them down to everything's on CMC. He gets injured, and their season just is done pretty much.
Maybe they'll look to Deebo Samuel a bit more now. I bet you were standing up and clapping round the applause when he get carried off injured.
Not at all. Cheering.
I know how you work. Oh wait, there, I've got that wrong. Jermichael Hasty's at the Jaguars.
I was going to say Jordan Mason, is it not?
I think you're
Jordan
right.
Mason. Aye.
At least one is switched on, mate. It's Monday. You let me off with it.
That's it.
I edit the audio, so best believe you'll not hear that back in the audio when it comes out tomorrow
just
morning.
just do it like it's edited in, like, and make it like just it throws in Jordan Mason in there into your
That's
voice.
it.
Doesn't even fit
I'll
in at
cut right
all.
to that bit. Nah. In other injury news, Joe Mixon missed this weekend.
Yep.
Huge blow for the Bengals. It was a concussion last weekend, so it was expected that he missed this week. Now, considering how well Samaje Perine done last week, he was a number 1 waiver wire pickup. Mixon will probably be back next week. Would you still be holding on to Perine, given that there is a chance he could miss it?
Absolutely, I'd be keeping Perine. He's last couple of weeks he's done so well. If there's any doubts over Mixon, they won't be rushing him back, especially if Perine has proved that what he can do. He is a good player. So you'd certainly not be getting rid of him in your team. You'd certainly be keeping him in about there and monitoring that situation.
Yeah, 100%, especially when basically all leagues expect that the trade deadline will have been. You can't really go and trade them, so you're not selling them high.
Yeah.
The waiver wires are so scarce, especially for running backs. So keep them there, even if it means keeping them on the bench.
Yeah, she said with the trade deadline, it's there is no point in getting rid of these guys. If your trade deadline's passed, it's keep hold of him. And Perine, as I said, he's a good player. It's not luck that he's put up those points the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, of course. And other news looking down the list as well, Raheem Mostert left this game early. No, sorry, he wasn't even playing. I forget, I'm getting myself confused now. He didn't even play, so Jeff Wilson stock has went through the roof. In Mostert's terms, this is one to monitor because it was a bit of a shock. It came about Thursday, Friday that he was going to miss the game. I think it's a lower leg injury.
Yeah.
Is it? Does this put Jeff Wilson's stock through the roof, or are we now looking back at a sort of still a committee there?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's the Shuggy curse coming into play again. I had him as I started him last week.
So you did.
And they either have a nightmare or they get injured, and it was literally hours after this went out, wasn't it? That happened. They got ruled out for the game. Yep, I would say it puts Wilson's stock through the roof. Also worries for the Dolphins because I mean Tyreek Hill had him coming out. That was more precautionary. I think he'll be absolutely fine. I'm praying he's absolutely fine. But I definitely a blow for Mostert.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where your sitting startings in the Shuggy Cuss goes this week because you're actually playing against me.
I'm going to pick 2 of your players for startings.
I believe you'll do that, by the way.
I absolutely will.
Now, other news, it is slightly fantasy relevant, but Allen Robinson out for the season-ending surgery. To be honest, I don't know how fantasy relevant it was being, maybe in a small portion while Cup was injured, but you look at Van Jefferson there, so in that sense, Van Jefferson's stock goes through the roof, but with Stafford possibly being out for the season as well, then I don't see really any fantasy relevant players at the Rams.
Nah.
Van Jefferson maybe. Like from what I've seen with the boy Perkins, he looked good, but I don't know if he's going to set it alight Mike White style this week.
Aye. I think.
But what are you going to say there? Sorry, mate.
No, I was just going to agree with that. Not relevant, really.
Nah, not at all. Next, move on. We'll keep the questions coming in the comments. We're finishing up very shortly, a wee short show tonight. But in other news, okay, Odell Beckham Jr., we've been talking about his free agency and where he's going to end up in free agency. But this isn't about free agency. He was escorted off a plane in Miami yesterday, and it seems like, I don't know if he was intoxicated. The statement that was released from his management was that he was asleep, whereas the staff on the flights he was in out of consciousness and wouldn't put his belt on. It sounds so petty. And for me, this would make me think twice about signing this guy. Like, there's no doubt about his ability, but in terms of his attitude, there just seems to be something not quite there for me. It seems a bit poisonous.
Yeah, it seems to be just turning a saga. Still not signed with a team. Just doesn't really seem to be in any rush to be. And for me, I mean, he's grabbing the headlines for the wrong reasons. If you're looking to join a team this stage of the season, you'd want all the news to be about how hard you're working on your own if you were desperate to get involved in a team. So it doesn't matter what sport you're playing, if your mind's not on it, if you're not focused, if you're not willing to put the team first, if you're not that committed, then no, you're probably not. You're probably not as viable. Coaches will think twice about bringing you in, but I just think as if it's dragged on longer than it has to, and that headline would make me, if I'm a coach, I'm looking and thinking twice about picking them up.
Yeah. Have you ever been blazing in a flight and get threatened to chuck off?
I can't say I've been, to be honest. I fainted on a plane.
Did you?
I did. I needed the toilet so bad I fainted.
Yeah. You're kidding. You
No,
fainted
no,
because you needed the toilet so much.
So I got to the toilet in time, so there was no accidents, which is a positive. But coming out,
you fainted good shit.
coming out, no, it was a pee I needed, but they wouldn't have let me till I landed, so it took ages, and I eventually went, and then I fainted. But I can confirm I wasn't intoxicated, I wasn't causing trouble. But that's my only incident I've had in a plane.
What is this show turning into? I was at my stag do. The flight was ridiculous. There was like lap dances and stuff in the seats behind me, and it was a case of everybody get your belts on. We won't be serving alcohol. It was bad, man. That was bad. I don't want to go into that too much because we've already went off the rails a wee bit here. But from one position to another, mate, Deshaun Watson returns this week, and it's fully expected that he's going to start for the Browns. Am I right in saying it's against the Texans next week?
Yeah.
Do you start him? Right, that is the very, very first question in this. Do you start him in your fantasy team if you're struggling at quarterback position, knowing that he's not played a game in well over a year and a half, a season and a half, put it that way, and that he's now on a new offense?
Not for me. It's last throw of dice. Say if you have a total emergency with your quarterbacks, you've got the potential to pick them up. Then I would say yes. But for me, been out for too long. He's going to be rusty. There's a lot of negative headlines around him. At the start of the season, we were kind of swirling about it until we seen the length of the time he was out for. But nah, not for me. If you're hanging your hat on him for the end of the season, I'd say they might come up with good points this week. I can't see it. A Texans a decent matchup for him to come into, but he's not for me. I wouldn't be taking a chance on him, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what sort of reaction he gets. Like, it's going to make a lot of headlines.
Yeah.
It's good to see your morals in the right place. Do you know the kind of guy that would start him?
Yeah, Drew.
Oh, the guy's got no morals, does he?
Nah, no morals at all, but that's a story for another day.
It is. Are you sour?
Not at all. Yes, very much so. I thought I'd beaten him, and then Alan Lazard threw up about 4 points from at the weekend. That's what killed me. And unfortunately, a bit better with defeat.
I know, but keep the questions coming. We've got a few good ones in here. Before we finish off, another solid show, Shug. It's been good fun, a wee bit shorter than usual. Yeah, so great point by producer David there. Watson scored, apart from his rookie season, over 320 fantasy points. Like, he is a big point scorer, and he is like modern quarterback. So I just don't know. I think I'm really in agreement with you here that I just don't know, because he's on a new offense and he's not played for so long. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Next season could be the time that you go and look to pick him up as sort of one of the upper quarterbacks, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if some defenders try and rough him up pretty heavy to get their name in the headlines. But if we've got a game this week, producer David?
We have indeed. We've got Tom Brady looking shady. Another couple of them I've got for you.
Yeah.
So I've got three for you tonight.
Good man, good man. So before Shugs get started, keep the comments coming, keep the questions coming. I can see a couple of good ones there that will get featured after we do this. But take it away, Shug, it's on you.
Can I actually just say
Right,
before we
okay.
start, me and Shug had to have a couple of words with each other because he came up with one that didn't really rhyme. We can talk about it afterwards and you can see what you think. But between the two of us, we've kind of got there. But this is 90% all Shug. It's pretty good.
I thought
I'm
producer
looking
Dave was
forward
splitting
to it.
hairs, but anyway, we move on. Right, first one.
Right, go
First
for it.
one. Broncos wide receiver has a taste for lamb.
Broncos wide receiver has a taste for lamb. Cortland Sutton eating mutton.
Yes, well done.
Yes, that's not bad. Do you know what was going through my head there? I thought it was a riddle. I completely forgot it was this game.
This
Go for it,
one.
Shug. What's the next one?
Oh, I think he's giving it away. Producer Dave's edited this a wee bit. I said Atlanta Falcon copy an iconic celebration. You'll get this.
I know it already. Young Wei Koo doing the Sue.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that is absolutely terrible.
And the last one is Panthers running back rewarding a nightclub staff member.
Panthers running back is rewarding a nightclub staff member. Panthers running back. Donta Foreman is tipping the doorman.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, they were good and terrible. Well done, mate.
You done well. You done well.
So, first question coming for the comments, mate. That was excellent, Shug. Melvin Gordon has signed for the Chiefs. Not part of the game, just news, right? This is big news, right? And in terms of fantasy terms, Melvin Gordon, legend after that Instagram post last week.
Yeah.
In terms of fantasy, I know a lot of people would have dropped him when he went into free agency. Personally, given what I think about the Chiefs running game, I still wouldn't go near him. Like, it looks like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, should I say, has lost his job there. Isaiah Pacheco looks to be given the reins a wee bit, and even at that, he's still not going to score high points. And I know Melvin Gordon's only in the practice squad there, so for me, he's not even worth a pickup. What about you?
Nah, I'm the same. I just don't see him having anything to really bring to the table for the Chiefs. I don't see him being particularly relevant.
Nah, not for me. So, any other questions here in the comments, David? Let's see. Got another one coming in. How confident are you of making the championship playoffs in our league, Shug, and who wins it all?
Oh, so for any listeners, our league has got very, very tight over the weekend. There's several of us sitting round about the same, isn't there, Kieran? Maybe about
Yeah, so I think
6
of
in
the league, there's
contention,
8.
maybe?
Yeah, I think there's 6 or 7 in contention, with around about half sitting on 6 and 6 and half sitting on 7 and 5. So I'm in the
Yeah.
lower half of that. You've just went 7 and 5 as well. So
I'm on 7
I
and
think you've got.
5.
Yep.
So
How are you feeling
it's
with your
all up.
chances?
Honestly, before this weekend, I was feeling good. I thought if I can get another win, that would have put me in a really good position, almost secured with playoffs, almost there. The results at the weekend's just thrown it totally open. So I think I'll make it. I'm confident I'll make the playoffs this year, but it's going to come down to the wire again. Who wins it all in our league? The man there himself, Jamie McRae, Toasty. He has been hard to beat this year. He's what, 10 and 2?
I think so. He's been
10 and
solid.
2. But he really seems to bottle it in the playoffs. So I'm going to stick my neck on the line. I'm bringing home the gold again this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be your Drew for some reason. But here, don't count me out. I'm down in that lower half, but I've went from third. I've dropped from third to seventh. How does that even happen? That just shows how tight it is.
Yeah,
It's going to come right to the wire. But
as we said earlier, though, there's random players coming up with 40 points some weeks. Like, anybody can win on their day when it comes to the playoffs. It's a roll of dice sometimes.
Yeah, so We'll move on to that. We'll move on to the next question from Penguin is O2YT. Okay. I have 4 great wide receivers and in desperate need at running back. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devonta Adams, Cooper Kupp, and Justin Jefferson in a PPR. Who do you think I should go after with one of these receivers and Kamara? This is a difficult one. So, who do you go after? God knows how you've got the players. I don't know if you're
I
in a
know.
two-man league or not.
I was going to say, how have you got all those options?
I know. For me, I'd try and get rid of Cooper Kupp there. I don't know when he's going to be back. It looks as if it would be 6 to 8 weeks, which would mean he would miss your playoffs. He's probably not effective for you, so I don't know what you would get for him. Failing that, if you're really that desperate, I'd maybe push on. Given that the others are higher rated, I'd maybe push on Amon-Ra St. Brown and try and go like a Jeff Wilson, given that Raheem Mostert could miss time. We're not really sure of that yet, but given that the schedule and the run-in, I think he's got quite a steady schedule, which would work in your favour. So for me, I'd go and try and, if your trade deadline's not passed, like try and trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for someone like Jeff Wilson. Anyone else that pops to mind, Shug?
Well, first of all, whoever are getting rid of it, I would make sure Adams is the one that you stick to there. Just looking through the league, I think it's difficult depending on who you can pick up at this stage. Our trades is, as I said, our trades is stopped now. But looking around there, there's not that many. That's that many options. Do you maybe go for somebody like Kenneth Walker? I can't think what his schedule's like the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's also a good shout, solid player. I think you're on the money there. Like Kenneth Walker as well, solid running back, one at the Seahawks. Yes, Kenneth Walker or Jeff Wilson, one of the two of them. But keep the comments coming. We've got a few more in here. Right, okay. I think I get what he means. So I've said Cooper Kupp, but I think what he means is Amari Cooper. So in that case, yeah, I'd be
Right.
getting rid of Amari Cooper, given the uncertainty. Yeah, so that
Yeah.
that would change for me. Given the uncertainty, I'd be moving on Amari Cooper, but I know that's been happening in our league, and Drew's been having difficulty getting rid of Cooper, given that the Browns are quite a poor offense. So I don't know. I'd maybe try and sell high on him if he had another good week, but difficult one.
Mhm.
But I'd be going at certainly Jeff Wilson or, like Shug said, King Kenny Walker.
Yeah.
We get time for one more question, producer David. I think we've got a decent one from Roberto. He's saying, don't count Roberto out. 4 of the 5 previous weeks, he's scored 140 points or more.
I
Not
was
bad,
actually
eh?
going to mention. I was going to mention his name. He beat me a few weeks ago, and I look at his team every week, and he's putting up big points. He was low down the league a few weeks ago. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Don't write him off, but I think it's the same in every league. If you're in a fantasy league, you'll see there's guys in there that there's not much in between teams.
Yeah, and with regards to him especially, he sat second bottom for so long and just grinded away, picked up good waivers, stuck at it, and he's going to make the playoffs. Roberto will make the
Yeah.
playoffs. I'm telling you that right now.
I think what we're noticing now is, see, and I'd be interested to hear some listeners if they've been the same. If you've been doing the leagues for a couple of years, is that what leads to it being a lot tighter? Because people get more knowledge, people talk more, people compare more, they do a wee bit more research. Now, the first year I was playing, I was guessing, and I ended up winning it. So it can go that way. And Martin, for example, has had a shocker a year, and he's knowledgeable. But I think across the board, I think we're now a bit more experience in terms of picking our teams, in terms of trading, and it's led to everybody being a wee bit, everybody
more
being in the same
engaged and
boat.
interested.
Yeah,
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 yeah, but nah. In his case, drafted well. Like, and I think in Martin's case, like I say this to him all the time, he's so reluctant to trade. It's unbelievable. So see when it's not working for you, go and roll the dice.
yeah.
Go and change some players. Go and try and make a difference. Like people are after your players.
I think
But
one thing for any listeners, one thing we've done is because we got a good bit of interest in it, we moved to 2 leagues, as we said, a first division and a second division, and I think that's led to everybody in our league being more engaged because we made a bottom 3 go down. So it means that last year and previous years, I think the minute you realise you're not going to win it, you check out a bit. Whereas this year, I'm still looking at it and saying, I need a win or so just to make sure I don't make that bottom three. There's a lot more to play for. So I would say anybody that does those leagues, just keep it relevant. Anything you can add in that maybe spice it up a wee bit.
Yeah. And the last one for tonight, I suspect Drew will pip Shug to the playoffs in the last game of the regular season. Are you having that?
Well, there's always a bit of corruption when it comes to those two. So, as commissioner, I'd say keep your eye on that one.
I will. They two are in cahoots. But no, thank you to everyone that's joined us tonight and the comments, and thanks to everyone that's currently listened as well on the podcast. Make sure you're subscribing to us, make sure you're following us, and make sure you're getting involved on the social media side of things as well. As ever, Shug, thank you very much.
Yes, thanks, mate.
As ever, you've been brilliant. But thanks very much and good night, folks.